Hey, Brian.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Getting all right. Um, Finally, we have the daytime saving, day saving time change.
Worst day of the year.
Oh, it's funny. I went to a ski trip last weekend at Whistler and was staying in an Airbnb in the creek side of Whistler, just under the mountain. And Saturday was such a crowded day, so we had to wait in line for an hour or two. And then we were thinking about, okay, maybe in Sunday we learned the lesson and we wanted to go early, want to wake up at 7 a.m. or even earlier. And then it's Sunday and it's the day saving time change. And we got 1 hour less sleeping and nobody can wake up because of that. So we ended up going up to the mountain later than even Saturday.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's
So
a rough weekend.
but we got tons of fresh snow in Whistler though.
Great.
James was there too, but I didn't meet him.
Oh, cool. Like just randomly while we're there at the same time.
Yeah, he told me before, but we just
Ah,
didn't like the mountain is so
Hey
huge.
Brian, hey Joe.
Hey Kay,
hello.
we're just talking about ski trips and day saving time. I don't see any agenda items today, so I guess I'll just casually chat. Wait for another minute and then we get started. Okay, can you hear?
Yes, I think I got it figured out.
Please. I think we can get started now. Let me share my screen. Hopefully you can see my browser and run Wi-Fi and continue the Wi-Fi shims notes. Cool. Hey, welcome. This is the Run Wi-Fi bi-weekly community meeting, and today's host Mustaka. So let's see. This is the we have to abide by the CNCF code of conduct. So be nice to each other, be respectful, and if you have any questions, you use the raise hands feature from Zoom. And let's see. Welcoming new members. Hey, Kate. I think this is your first time being here. Nice to see you.
Hello, excited to be here.
If you're willing, can you add your name in the attendee list? That would be great. This is from the last time where they congratulated James and Jorge being the active maintainers of Run YZ. And moving on to the open discussion, we don't really have anything so far. But I put a setting up the mailing list because I've heard people saying they don't know there is a meeting every once for 2 weeks on Tuesday. So, but I'm not sure what's the best way to do this. And this is where I want to ask you, Brian, do you know if Container D has a same mechanism of sending people calendar invite?
There's nobody on the mailing list, but there's the CNCF calendar.
I think we already own that, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have anything for the CNCF calendar for this.
you should put, oh, I see. Just writing this down for like a to-do list.
Yeah, for mailing list, I don't think Container D really has anything. At least nothing that I've never seen anybody sending things on the mailing list. So
Is this one you're referring to?
Yep.
Got you. Do
that's
you
where Container D's
know?
meeting is.
Oh, okay. There's a contact us. Okay, I can do this. Cool. Yeah, besides this one, I don't have anything to discuss. Brian, Kate, do you have any open discussion topics?
I don't know if this counts, but I'd love to talk a little bit about like the termination process for Runwazi and the shims, essentially like the weight handling we have. I noticed in the spin shim and also it looks like the Waz and Cloud shim, sometimes processes don't get terminated, and it'd be interesting to kind of brainstorm what might be happening there. It also seems like it's been more recent behavior. Obviously, there's been more recent activity in the shims, so it's hard to tell if it's just people are noticing it now as they're trying it on more distributions than K3D, or if it's something that's persistent. But it seems like all the issues on it have been since like January. And I can link some, but I know, Brian, you mentioned a comment about it potentially being how we're handling that weight endpoint in the shim. Or like in Runwazi. And just thought it might be an interesting brainstorm, but this is my first time attending, so I don't know if we want to keep a little higher level on topics.
That this is great. We can talk about this one. I believe there are some termination related issues on Wazi. This one, I don't know if this is the one you are referring to, Kate. Oh, okay. Okay, if you're speaking, you're muted.
I was, and I was. Yeah, it seems like it's happening on multiple shims, which makes me think it's, yeah, like what you said, Brian, right there, that it's maybe the way we're handling it in Runwazi, or maybe it's something that Container D needs a fix for. Like it's failing to notice that we need to terminate the tasks. So
I doubt it's in the core of Container D. Otherwise, we'd have a lot of issues like with the other shims. So that kind of leaves the Container D shim Rust extensions library that we use, and then the Runwazi stuff, and then whatever else is going on top of Runwazi for like spin or whatever.
Might be Yuki.
Possibly Yuki. Uh, yeah, how's the tracing going there, Joe?
Oh, um, it's tough. It's rough. I added all the tracing attributes to every open functions or public functions in RunYZ. The issue I was facing is there are some missing parent spans for some functions. For example, the wait. For example, you were actually executing shim main function 3 times. Why do we have 3 times? It's because we have the start shim for the first time, and that start shim spawns the same process and execute shim main again. So that's the second time. And we have the delay shim for the third time. But when I see the span, there are only 2 shim mains and just 1 shim main missing in that span. So there were some issues with how I instrument the tracings through inter-process communication, IPC. And somehow that context was not propagated from one process to the child of that process. So I'm still trying to figure out how to resolve that. Yeah,
Do you have a draft PR open?
I don't, but I have a.
There, I gotta hold on just one second. I've got to deal with the maintenance person.
Okay, but there is an issue here, which I wrote about a little update. Yes,
Okay, sorry,
I
I'm
probably
back.
need to. Oh, sure. Yes, probably need to make a rough PR, make a draft PR. But here's the diff if you want to see it.
Cool. I can try to take a look at that and see if I can find anything.
Yeah, that'd be great. So Kate, for some context, I've been working on adding the OpenTelemetry tracing to RunYZ. And one of the major goal of doing that is to be able to have a better observability and be able to debug some of the issues in RunYZ, and which is also related to the termination issue that I mentioned.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we should probably add some of that tracing to the shims as well. Especially because logging is having those performance issues.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also curious about that because it should just be a pipe. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point though. I wonder if going down that rabbit hole will lead to the other one,
Mhm.
if they are related, because
Yeah,
resources are being lost
it could
in
be
both.
blocked on a write to the pipe, even. Like if the logging is causing a performance issue, then maybe the pipe's getting full and other stuff's happening that's causing it to not exit as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Brian, are you indicating that there might be like a deadlock in the logs in the logging?
Yeah, yep.
I know Rajat's on the call here and he's been debugging this a little, trying to see like on a process level what's happening when this happens. I don't know if you want to add any color to the discussion around this, Rajat.
Um, Only thing that I have been able to reach to is that when I run CTR task list, it times out for the shim containers, and it returns a PID of 0 and a status of unknown. I have been trying to dig deep into like why it is timing out. I tried changing the timeout to 10 seconds and then to 30 seconds, but that is not helping either. That is where actually I'm currently stuck. I'm trying to find out uh, how to find like why it is timing out there. That's where I'm currently stuck.
And their PID is 0.
So the PID is returning as 0 uh, in the CTR list. I added the comment to the issue where I can ping the link here. There is an issue that is reported in the containerd projects or somewhere there, and then I added the comment there about how the uh, container CTR list task list is first of all hanging and then timing out for the shim containers and then eventually returning in the list output it is returning PID as 0 and task status as unknown.
Interesting.
I just pinged in the chat the issue where I updated the comment about this. It's towards the end.
And this happens after you try to delete the path, right?
As soon as I run it, it starts to happen. So like I have a setup currently where I have a pod which is running with the Wasm workload, and the container ID which it is showing in the pod status is coming up as PID 0 when I run this command.
I see.
But it does seem like that it is getting stuck somewhere because in the logs I can see context deadline exceeded error. And the timeout for that is about 2 seconds. In this particular output, you might be seeing the output as 20 seconds because I was trying to change it and change it to 10 second per request, trying to see if that is making a difference here.
When I look at that, I see the 0 value for PID, and meaning like the go 0 value for that thing. So 0 value integer, right? So it strikes me that 20 seconds passed, and there's the failure to actually reach out for those containers to get status, and that's the result of that. So okay, cool. Hey Brian, do you have any insight here?
Other than the containerd is not getting a response from the shim. That's all I could say for that. So it does seem like there's something stuck. That's unfortunately that's the only thing I could say. What might be useful is we could add a signal handler and get a stack trace out. Like some SigQuit or something like that. I don't know if that's a default one for Rust. And have it print the stack trace out and crash and see what might be going on there. At least as a starting point, since we don't have like good tracing involved right now.
Sure. I think that makes sense, and I was going to try that. I have a setup where I can add some logging and run this setup and reproduce this issue. Excuse me. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, does it involve, excuse me, does it involve talking to the TTRPC server? Because I'm very new to containerd source code, I'm still learning it. But it seems like it might be using TTRPC protocol to talk to something to get this data, and which is not returning the error here or
Correct,
result
yeah.
here.
Yep.
Okay. And do we publish the TTRPC client somewhere by any chance?
Our TTRPC client. So yeah. The Go client or the Rust client?
Go client, or I was just thinking about like maybe if I can use it as a CLI somehow. And
Okay, yeah.
and one more quick question. So the TTRPC protocol that is talking about, it must be talking to some socket here. So where can I find the location of that address? Is it the same address which is available under address file in the bundle directory?
No. Well, it is. 1 second. It might be there. Yeah, so it's in the address file there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, here, Jack, if it would be great if you can write something about how to reproduce this. I'm very curious to run same command and see this myself.
Absolutely, I can do that. Sure.
The one thing that I find interesting about this, and this is on the point of reproduction too, certain distros pretty reproducibly have the issue and others don't. So namely, the containerized ones don't have this issue, from what I've noticed. Or actually, that's not true. So I'm going to take that back. But it is weird how it's very distro dependent. So Kind consistently has this issue with our latest release. For the SpinShim, but then K3D has never had it. And I think that is something to think about. Other ones that work is Micro K8s, works fine. But other like K3S has been finicky with it. So I don't, it is interesting that it is somewhat consistent experience based on the distro.
And I think we have been able to reproduce this issue on GKE cluster as well. Oh,
Sorry, can you say it again? You will be able to reproduce it in where?
We were able to reproduce this issue on GKE cluster, Google Cloud, Google Kubernetes
Got
Intune
it.
cluster, guys.
So to summarize, Kate, you said K3S has the issue, but not kind.
No, Kind consistently has the issue with the latest release. K3D never does. I haven't ever seen it. And K3S sometimes, but usually yes. I don't know. I don't know if we've ever seen K3S work, but we felt like we might have, so I'm not sure. And then GKE, I think, has consistently had the issue. Rajat, did you want to add there?
Yeah, so this is something I have noticed twice. Like if I start a Wasm workload and within seconds of starting it, if I delete the pod, it deletes successfully. But if I wait for like 5-10 seconds, after that it is like stuck. After that, I start seeing that behavior.
I wonder if that adds more weight to the logging argument. That they might be related.
Oh, I don't know if it will be helpful, but I can share my screen and show this happening right now. Like
Oh, that would be
if that
great.
will. Okay.
You want me to give you permission? I think you
I
have
think
the
I have
permission
the.
to share.
So this is my K3S setup, and like you can see, when I run K3S CTR task list, it's taking very long time. It will be taking even longer because I have changed the timeout to 30 seconds right now. And so this is the error that we see in the logs where it says getting the status for the containers it context deadline exceeded unknown. And this is when I traced it back, it is coming from where we are making the request to get the state, and the timeout default timeout for that is 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And this is my spin. This is a spin Wasm workload which is running here. If I run a minus of YML on this and take the container ID here, so and you can notice here that this is coming out to be 00 here. And if I search for this ID, which I just copied from the pod OYML, this is the container which is coming out to be 0 here.
Yeah,
And
almost like behaving like a zombie process.
yeah, but I mean, it's there. I was checking the directories as well, like the directories does exist. Um, and it did had the uh, address file as well, but I was not quite sure how to use that. So I'm still reading code to understand how to go from there. But it does have the address file, the config.json, the uki file. All those files are here. If, will anything else be helpful if I try to show you here?
So you were saying you're able to see this after you start the pod within like 5 to 10 seconds and then delete it?
So now that this issue is happening, this is where I still have not narrowed down it exactly to, but my understanding is that once it starts happening, then I'm able to consistently reproduce it. Let me try to reproduce it again once more. So it will stay in the stuck state. So what I will do is I will restart the K3s servers. I think you've passed that quick deadline already.
Oh, are you sending the containers output to the container log? Or is that what the spin shim is doing? Or whatever the shim is?
Yeah, that shim output is in the container logs.
Like,
Is there anything I can search in the logs which might be useful?
can you scroll all the way down? It's pretty interesting because I'm not able to see the when you stop the pod, it should also turn off the shim, right? So I was expecting to see a shim exit after you delete that pod.
Oh, so that is one of the issue that we thought was originally causing this issue, and we fixed it in the shim. And with K3D, we are able to see that it receives the signal and then we terminate the shim. But in this particular case, we are not getting that signal in the shim. Like if we were to get that signal, then it would work. Let me try to show you something else, like to send the signal directly to the shim process. So if I take this process ID and try to do a kill -15 on this. So in this case, we do get this is the signal. This is the message which is printed from the shim when we get the signal. However, we are not getting that signal when we do the delete pod for some reason.
Yeah.
One other thing which I noticed, and because you mentioned Yuki here, is that again, please take it with a fine grain of salt because I am very new to all this code base. Containers. Somewhere here I read that when we start the shim and wait for the term signals, we don't really do anything in that function. But I'm not sure how. What does that mean? Just a second. apologize. I'm still searching for the code. I'm sorry, I can update the comment offline
Mm-hmm.
on,
Sounds good.
on the issue. Yeah. Yeah, I can't find it right now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was really expecting the shim to exit once you delete the public. I don't know why it wasn't happening in that case.
I think we're also not super clear on when this started. Like, I think we would have noticed this behavior earlier. So I'm trying to figure out what versions of what did we start seeing this? Because we've been using the same version if in the spin shim world, we've been using the same version of Renwazi through these changes of like what Rajat mentioned of handling sig term instead of just sig kill, and so over the past couple months. But before then there could have been changes in Renwazi that could have brought in changes to Rust extensions. So I'm trying to figure out like at what point was this working, I guess.
I mean, I don't know that anybody's going to be able to name that off the top of their head or exactly when that didn't happen. So if there's a reproduce, like it seems like it's pretty clearly reproducible. So get bisect is kind of our friend there, right? So if we can just run a get bisect and find a place where maybe this has always been the case. I mean, it is quite possible that this issue has existed for a long time, and it's just that it happens periodically, or it happens because two threads are running, and this one just happens to get this resource first. I'm sorry, Rajat?
I think I found that code. It is in Rust extension, which I was trying to show earlier. So I'll just share my screen once more for a second. So this is Rust extension code now. And I think somewhere here we say shim is successfully started waiting for the exit signal, and then we say handle signals. And if I go to the handle signals function, if we get a sig term or sig int, we just do a debug log and then don't do anything. I don't understand the significance of this code here though.
I'm guessing if you get a sig term, you exit this function, right? Exit of like infinite loop.
No.
Oh no, forget
So-
about it.
Used to be that the runc shim, or at least the thing that used to that was being used to wrap runc shim, similar to this, would ignore sig term. I wonder if that's a vestige of that same implementation here.
But again, like we are not seeing this issue with K3D or uh,
Yeah. So, so the only reason, so like the Runcie shim now today does handle sig term and exits. But that's only because, to make cases like where the system is shutting down and it can actually shut down the shim. What should be happening is, nothing should be sending a signal to the shim outside of like shutdown and getting sig term from system D. So that's why that's pretty much why it's being ignored, because what should be happening is the shim reports, oh, we've exited either because weight returned or whatever, and then Containerd comes back and says, okay, delete, and that should cause the shim to exit. But that's an API request. It's not a signal.
but
The interesting thing, I think, is that the spin shim is outputting all logs, including the WASI logs, to the debug pipe that's for the shim. I think that is interesting, at least, in the sense of things could be getting blocked up because whatever stopped consuming it, but it's still trying to write to it or what have you. Like some log for the handler or whatever. Not that familiar with the spin shim, but even to say, okay, we've deleted, okay, and you write a log message, okay, this is deleted, but the debug log is gone because nothing is consuming it anymore. So it's not gone, but nothing is consuming anymore because it shouldn't be.
just my two
Just some
cents.
random thoughts.
Sure.
I've never seen this in the just a plain WASM time shim, but we're not logging to that pipe for the WASM itself, just for the shim.
So what I was gonna say is that I think we have the logs disabled in the shim by default, and we still do see this behavior.
Mhm.
Only thing, like I have a custom build running which just enables the logging to be able to debug this shim issue as such. But I understand what you're saying. I'll take help from Kate to follow that lead.
Yeah, I think the quickest thing to do is to do a sig quit, like handler or something like that, and print out a backtrace, or connect with GDB and with debug symbols in and see what's going on there.
Okay. Is there anything else we can do or discuss in this this chat here to that might help us, or we will have to
Yeah.
maybe we can
If you can post your
Sorry.
reproducer, or if you already have, just link it here so I can take a look at it.
Sure thing.
Yeah, we can
Sure.
see what more.
And
I'll-
Rajesh, I also have time today if you want to pair.
Oh, that would be great.
I really
I
like
can do.
Brian's earlier suggestion of making that call where it's hung and then just getting a stack trace from it at that point and just seeing where it's hung. if it's trying to write to some pipe. And it's just not.
Yeah, those are like all really good pointers. I will add the reproducible scenario, and then Joe, I'll try to reach out to you and see if we can pair debug this further. Thank you.
Ja, thank you so much for your patience and your
No,
help
I
trying
really
to find the result here.
I really appreciate all the work that you folks have done on continuity and other areas. Thank you.
Awesome. Do we have anything else to discuss? Great. All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. See you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Later,
everyone.
folks.